I can't lie, I really didn't want to make this video. I really couldn't be bothered to make this video because I kind of want to forget that game and erase it out of my mind as a Man United fan. But I've had some time to cool down. I've done my rant on my Man United channel about Man United, and I know I've got a lot of Spurs followers on this channel. So in today's video, we're going to break down what we learned from Tottenham 1, Manchester United 0, break it down for the Spurs fans and just people that are interested on this channel. Yeah, Tottenham have beat us 3 times this season. 3 times we've lost to Tottenham this season. It's crazy. And I'll be honest, you know, it was an improvement from the 3-0 loss at Old Trafford. I think that's the only positive we can say as a United fan, and Xerxes and Dorgu were also quite positive. But yeah, I mean, the lack of quality. Now, I don't think Tottenham were amazing. I think you could see glimpses of Ange, and I think Tottenham had a good first half. But I think the second half, Tottenham didn't come out particularly well. But Man United don't have the quality. Tottenham gave us the chances. Garnacho should have scored. Xerxes had a good header. Garnacho could have probably got 2. I think Delo had a good opportunity, and then you scored right after. And I think Tottenham, believe it or not, they had that bit of extra quality over Manchester United. I mean, if you actually look at the bench as well, it's weird because, you know, Tottenham, what we've had on our bench right now with Heaven, Amas, Kone, Harrison, basically Lindelof and a load of teenagers, is essentially what Tottenham have had for the last 2 months. But you can just see that Tottenham are getting the players back. We're losing the players. They had the extra quality to win the game. I don't think Tottenham were amazing, but I thought Jed Spence was absolutely fantastic. I thought Bergvall had a really good game. And I thought that actually, while Man United lacked the quality in attack, and Tottenham did give us the chances to make it 1-1, and I think 1-1 would have been a fair score. We just didn't have that quality in the final third to score. Tottenham also had opportunities to make it 2-0 on the counter, but it was the midfield where we just got obliterated by Tottenham. You know, Casemiro was shambolic. Bruno had a poor game as well, and I thought Bergvall was excellent. But Spence is man of the match. I thought Maddison had a good game. I thought Bergvall was excellent. But we will talk about Jed Spence in today's video. We will talk about it in general. But look, Amad Diallo out for the rest of the season. We've got Xerxes, Højlund, and Garnacho to get us through to the end of the season. Xerxes is the bright spot right now. It's not good as a Man United fan. In the combined 40 appearances under Ruben Amorim, the current front three only has 3 goals, and that's all we've got. And I said it the other day in one of my previews with Spurs. I said, Man United might be above Spurs right now, because it was last week. But I said, Spurs will finish the season better than Man United. I called it. And the reason I said Spurs will finish the season better than Man United is because Spurs are starting to get players back. And I said, when they're starting to get players back, you see glimpses of Ange. In the first half today, we see glimpses of Ange. Is it good enough? Would Tottenham be punished against a better side than United? Probably today. Would it be 1-1 if they played a better side? Probably today. But you can see when Tottenham have a few players back, you see glimpses of Ange, you see glimpses of quality. At United, we didn't have that many injury issues a couple of weeks ago. We've lost Martinez, Maino, Ugarte, Collier, Ahmad, and Yoro in the space of a week, in the space of 2 weeks. But we weren't particularly great when we had a more fit squad. And I've always said that, you know, while Man United last week were above Tottenham, I said that Tottenham, I think, will finish the season stronger than us. And I think today was an example of that. They've got that bit more quality. They're starting to get players back from injury. Although Danso, is he injured? Did he come off? So it's a bit rock bottom as a Man United fan. But I've got a video on Alice Talks Football talking about Man United. So I'm not going to talk about Man United. I'm going to talk about Tottenham. I'm going to talk about my thoughts on the game, because I know I have a lot of Tottenham people on this channel. Now, Jed Spence was just outstanding. Outstanding from Jed Spence. Fantastic performance. What I would say about Jed Spence is he influences every phase. He's not just good defensively, dealing with the 1v1s, not getting beaten. He's very key in progressing the ball, which is part of the midfield, getting it through the midfield, taking advantage of the space. Majrawi had a poor game today. And then in the final third, he's a creative outlet. He's influential in every single phase of the pitch for Tottenham Hotspur. And we're going to talk about Jed Spence in more detail later, the setbacks he's had, the loan spells he's had, you know, the lack of opportunities he's had, and how he's responded to those setbacks is a prime example for, I think, any footballer. But you're looking at Jed Spence now, and, you know, 6 months ago, you know, everyone was thinking this guy's finished, he needs out of Tottenham. And now Jed Spence is looking like England call-up. Like, everybody was wrong about Jed Spence. Like, I liked Jed Spence, weirdly, when he was at, I was about to say Middlesbrough, no, Forest. And I actually put him on one of my, maybe United should look at him type players. And then I thought, last year I was like, I'm glad we didn't sign him, when I thought, I'd quite like Spence. I said that a couple of years ago, I quite like Spence, watching him in the Championship. But actually, Jed Spence is the player that we saw him, and that the player that showed the potential, which is why Tottenham brought him. He's been phenomenal lately, and I think everyone was sort of writing off Jed Spence, and everyone was so wrong about Jed Spence. but he's been unbelievable this season, and the way he's responded to setbacks. And honestly, he could get an England call up. He can play on the left, he can play on the right. I think England are a little bit thin in the fullback department because you've got Lewis Shaw, I guess, for left back, and Lewis Skelly for left back. Jed Spence could come in there. It's, it's the end of Shaw, it's the end of Chilwell, the end of Trippier. Reece James had injury issues. There's only really Trent and Livramento on the right. I think a call up for Jed Spence is more than fair. I think from a Man United fan, we could have made it 1-1. I think Tottenham can argue they deserve to win, and Tottenham did enough to win the game. But they gave us chances. You guys gave us chances today, and I think if we had a better player, like if we had Mateus Cunha and Gyökeres instead of Højlund and Garnacho today, I think, yeah, Man United could have made that game 1-1 with the chances. I mean, Garnacho should have scored his chance in the first half. I'm still fuming about that as a Man United fan. I thought we were wasteful, and I thought that while Tottenham also had late chances on the break that maybe they could have scored, maybe Tell could have scored one of those. I think in general, it was very much a 13th versus 15th or 12th versus 15th level game. There was a lack of quality there, I think, from both sides at times. It was, they call it the Battle of Mid. It was the Battle of Mid today. That was the truth about it. But I thought in the first half, Tottenham were good. They dominated possession and were tactically better than United. I thought the first 10 minutes was quite equal. Delo could have scored, and then obviously we go and concede and be stupid. But I thought the first half, Tottenham, in terms of the possession, in terms of how they were running our midfield ragged, they were very dominant. They had like 75% possession. There was a period on Sky where they showed possession stats for the last like 10 minutes, and it was like Tottenham 75, United 25, and there was a period where we just couldn't play out, and Tottenham had the ball. They were very much in control, and you could see glimpses of Ange ball. But I thought in the second half, Tottenham didn't come out great. I thought United came out more bright and lively in the second half. I felt that United were going to score. We didn't have it in us. Ange made about 5 substitutions. Man United were leggy. Amarin, for some reason, could have turned to the bench earlier, in my opinion. I know there wasn't many options there. And I think we just started losing the ball and giving it away and couldn't beat Tottenham to those second, third balls because we were leggy in those last 10 minutes. But I thought the first 20 minutes of the second half, I thought United were all right. I thought we were growing into it. I thought Tottenham dropped off. Ange made the subs. Tottenham got better. But I thought in the first half, you were seeing glimpses of Ange ball and you were seeing glimpses of, okay, Tottenham look a lot better than us right now. I was quite concerned as a United fan. Other things I picked up for Odegaard, I think it's good that he's back. I thought he had a bright cameo. I thought Bergvall was good, especially in the first half. We'll talk about that. I thought Bergvall and Maddison were the stand-up players in the first half, but over the 90, it will be Jed Spence. I think, back-to-back clean sheets for Tottenham. Porro looked a lot better today as well. I think he's been hit and miss this season, but Tottenham Hotspur not bottling a lead, winning at home, and back-to-back clean sheets. Welcome Manchester United, eh? Welcome Manchester United. Classic Manchester United, eh? I think Son's been wasteful lately. When Son got the ball, I wasn't threatened by him. Jed Spence was the guy causing Mazraoui problems, not Son, and you'd expect it to be the other way around. I thought Tell was very good at getting into dangerous areas and causing problems, but I don't think it was his best game. You can see that he's still raw. You can see there's a talent in Tell, and you can see there's a good player there, but you can see he's raw. He gets into good areas, though, but I think there was times where he was wasteful, but he's just a raw young player, and I think Tell could be a really good player. Vicario was excellent today. I think if Kingsley plays that game, maybe that Højlund, was it the Højlund shot, or sorry, was it Garnacho's shot where he had to go down really low and save it? Maybe it's 1-1 if there's a different goalkeeper. I thought Vicario made some good saves. I think Vicario is actually the man of the match on SofaScore. But Maddison, I think, was the difference maker today. Both teams, I think, have lacked a bit of quality this season, and Maddison is a player with that quality. He can get goals, he can get assists, he can make things happen, and he was the difference maker today. He was there in the moment, scoring the goal, but he was, to be honest, he was everywhere in the first half. He was dropping deep, running around players, winning the ball back. I felt that Maddison and Bergvall particularly were kind of full of energy, and they had an energy about them, which I think gave Spurs that advantage because Bruno and Casemiro could barely. Bruno is knackered and Casemiro just doesn't have the legs. But he looked so fresh. He was making the flicks, the passes, the challenges. He was everywhere in the first half, Maddison. He had the energy, but he had the technical ability to get on the end and score that goal and make it 1-0 to Tottenham and just be there. And I thought Bergvall obviously did well for the goal as well. But we want to talk about Jed Spence because he was man of the match. I think everybody's just so wrong about Jed Spence. Jed Spence won more duels than any other Tottenham player in the first half versus United, which was 4. And while none of his teammates made more tackles, 2, or 1 more fouls, 2. This was just his first half stats. We then go into the second half, and this is where he won man of the match because across the full 90, he was the best player. Final third entries 9. In terms of progressing, in terms of carrying the ball forward, he was the most threatening player. He was getting the ball from the defensive zones to the attacking zones, and he was, the United midfield probably made it a lot easier for him. Obviously, we have wing backs and all of that, but he was just running and running. Most duels won 6, was fantastic. Block shots, successful take-ons, fouls 1. Possession 1 4 times, tackles 2, wasn't dribble past, was tackling the ball, was winning that ball. He was absolutely excellent. And these were my notes on Jed Spence. Consistently putting man of the match performances in. You played Brentford last game, you won that. Who was man of the match? Jed Spence. He's faced Mbeumo and Salah because he's been playing on the weaker side, and he's not looked out of place against two of the best players in the league. He was athletically outstanding. What I think makes Spence stand out is how good he is in terms of his athleticism, in terms of his speed, his intensity that he can play at. That means he can drive the ball up the pitch and carry it well, but he's very difficult to deal with 1v1. Xerxes not going to outpace him. It's going to be difficult for Xerxes because Spence, if you go 1v1, he's going to get the better of you. He's got the legs to make the challenge. He's got the physicality to push you off the ball. He's got the speed to beat you. He's very good 1v1. He was doing so well in the 1v1 situations, winning back the ball, covering the ground, cutting out the interception lanes. And when he gets the ball, he drives forward with some intent, with some purpose. He drives into space, and he's a very good ball carrier. He can win back the ball, he can carry the ball, and then he has that element of creativity in the final third. I thought Mazraoui really struggled to deal with him today. I thought physically he was above the rest of the United players, and it made us difficult to deal with him. And I think Spence being there also means you don't have to rush a doggy back. I think Van der Ven's been rushed back, so he's got injured and his injuries got worse. A doggy in the past has been rushed back, so his injury gets worse. When you have a player like Jed Spence, it means that you can mould a doggy back in slowly, because a doggy will be great, and Spence and a doggy could both play together, and they'll be great. But it means you don't have to rush a doggy back as soon as he's fit. And I think that's the problem with Van der Ven, is he's been rushed back as soon as he's fit. Man United, because Maddison was out for 18 months, every time Luke Shaw got fit, we rushed him back, and Luke Shaw got injured again. You know, I think that's also another aspect of having Spence coming through, is Ange can now has learned he can trust Spence. Ange wasn't playing Spence early in the season. Ange wasn't giving Spence the opportunity, and maybe Spence should have had more opportunities under Ange earlier in the season. But I think Ange has learned that he can trust Spence. He can mould a doggy in, and that should help Tottenham's injury issues in that area of the pitch. Hopefully, I think it could. But I want to just give Spence a shout out in general because of the setbacks he's had. You know, he came to Tottenham. He obviously wasn't signed for Ange. Ange clearly didn't want him. He was shipped out on loan. I thought he was very average loan. He was expected to leave in the summer. He stayed at Tottenham. Udogie and Porro, when they were fit, they were playing every game, and there was, you know, they weren't having the best start to the season, and there was a lot of calls for Spence to play and injury issues. And it took to basically everyone to be injured for Spence to get his chance, which might feel unfair. And when Spence got his chance, he delivered. And Spence has been waiting for his chance. He's had loan spots. He's had many setbacks. It looked like there was no future for him under Ange at Tottenham. There was reports that he had attitude issues, and Ange didn't like that. And Spence has just put his head down. You know, all the questions about Spence's attitude and all of this in the past, he's quieting that all down. Spence has put his head down, and he's worked hard, and he's worked his way back into the side. He's had setbacks, he's had loan spells. He's probably been over-ignored by the manager and probably deserved more opportunities earlier on than he got. And instead of causing a fuss, instead of writing things online, he put his head down, he worked hard, and it paid off. And Jadon Sancho, you should be taking notes, because you're writing, you've left United, you're in freedom, but you've put in 3 or 4 stinkers in a row for Chelsea. Do a Jed Spence, stay quiet, work hard. That's why Amad Diallo, before his injury, was balling out for Man United. Amad Diallo was what Man United fans thought Jadon Sancho would be, because Amad Diallo had setbacks, Anthony was playing over him, and he worked incredibly hard. And that's what Jed Spence has done. He's worked ridiculously hard. I think Tottenham had that little bit of extra quality to probably win the game. And I think while Tottenham had all the injury problems, and I think in previous games, Tottenham could, you know, had a bench a bit like United. I think Tottenham probably had the advantage going into this game, being at home and looking at United's bench compared to their own. I think Odegaard will be a big boost. Johnson will be a big boost because you can play Kulusevski in his best role centrally. I think the only issue for Tottenham is that centre-back. But Tottenham had options there on the bench, and they're looking a bit better off. And I've always said I think Tottenham are going to finish the season a lot better. I have a feeling that things could go up now for Tottenham, I do. And then last but not least, I want to give a shout out to Bergvall. I thought Bergvall was excellent today. I think the more and more minutes he's getting, he's, you know, getting more used to it, the league, everything as well. I think he's looked a bit tired lately, but you can see how good he is. I thought him and Maddison, they brought that much needed tempo to the Tottenham midfield, which made it Casemiro struggle. Casemiro had one of his worst games for United. I thought Bergvall, when he got the ball, he wanted to drive forward. He has purpose. Bergvall wants the ball. He's demanding the ball. He's always getting in places to receive the ball. He doesn't care if it's a tight angle. And when he gets the ball, he's ready to drive forward, pass forward, make something happen. He's so ready to make an impact on the game. He can cover ground. He can press. He can bring the intensity, but he wants the ball. He wants to drive forward. And I felt like that's everything that United lack right now, that Bergvall brings. I thought he was excellent. Anyway, let me know your thoughts down below. My Man United perspective is over on Alice Talks Football. This was purely my Tottenham perspective of the game. Thank you for watching. Bye.